Welcome into a very special edition of the Ultimate College Football Show. It is 5-star reveal day. We are releasing our initial complete list of all 32 5-stars for the 2026 class. I will remind you, this is not a final draft. No one is writing this in Sharpie. Our scouting team will continue to gather info and follow these prospects during their senior seasons. But as of May 14th, these are the top 32 players in the country. I'll remind you, do not forget to hit that like button. Go ahead. It looks like a big thumbs up, and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. I'm Emily Proud. I'll be your guide for the next hour and change, but let me introduce you to the guys putting in the real work. We've got our Director of Scouting, Andrew Ivins, another member of our scouting team, Hudson Standish, and National Recruiting Analyst, Tom Loy, bringing you all the scoop on these prospects. Andrew, I just explained what we're doing today, so I'll let you handle explaining the why.
Well, hey, commitment season is right around the corner, and a lot of these recruiting classes are going to take shape really in the month of June. So we thought, hey, why not put out what I'm calling version 1.0 of our 32-player 5-star field. And yes, the senior seasons loom right around the corner. That's very important for the evaluation process. But at the same time, hey, we know this class really, really well. And what's unique about this group is a lot of them played in those premium all-star games back in January. It was the first time that juniors were allowed to compete alongside the seniors. You think about the camp circuit, those 11th grade campaigns. We got a ton of information. We first did this 2 years ago. I think we were a little uneasy about how it would turn out. I love the 32 5-stars we got this time. I feel really convicted about this group.
Yeah, Andrew hit on it with the 32 5-stars. Last update, we moved to a dozen. Now we've got 20 more. We have about a half dozen major events left on the off-season camp circuit, OT7 finals, the Elite 11, a few Under Armour camps. Senior seasons really drive the rankings when it comes to these guys in the fall. However, we're inching closer, getting close to 100 degrees in some of the southern states. So football's right around the corner. Why not just go ahead and stamp these guys?
I love it. I'm glad to hear you say that. Speaking of a dozen 5-stars, 12 of these 5-stars are committed, which means 20 of them are not spoken for, which is why we have our Tom Loy here. So, Tom, where are we in the recruitment process for some of these elite prospects?
Well, we're in the contact period right now with some official visits taking place. That will stop for a short period of time on May 25th. So you're going to have a couple days to wrap up this month, which they're considering a dead period. But things are going to ramp up in a big, big way. Ivins mentioned commitment season right around the corner. So you're going to have a ton of official visits taking place in June, and there's going to be fireworks everywhere at the end of June and then all of July. That becomes a dead period. So look for the kids to stop committing and really decide where they're going to go. And then things are going to pick up once again. So I see a lot of these June visits resulting in commitment announcements in July and August. And then obviously all I know is football season is right around the corner, and I couldn't be more fired up.
I'm so glad you guys keep saying that, because to me it feels far away. But when I hear you guys say that it's right around the corner, I definitely believe it. Let's remind you of what we are trying to pursue right now here on the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. We are on the road to 1 billion views. We're going to continue to talk a lot about these prospects up until and through National Signing Day. So make sure that you are locked into the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. Without further ado, let's get to some of those 5-stars. Coming in at number 32, up 45 spots in the rankings, defensive lineman Bryce Perry-Wright. He is currently uncommitted.
Emily, I think this is one of the more interesting guys that is a 5-star. When you look at his measurables, a shade under 6'2", 245, 250 pounds, it doesn't jump off the page, but this is somebody that is an explosive defender with serious alignment flexibility. He can get it done off the edge. We think he's probably going to grow into a 3-tech, but his motor and leverage tend to be a handful for tackles and interior offensive linemen. We saw him at the Navy All-American Bowl, absolutely rep shop. And then he won every single rep at the Under Armour Atlanta camp shortly following afterwards. Really strong junior season. And Bryce Perry-Wright is a guy that could be a chess piece for a lot of these front seven defensive coaches.
Emily, I was actually down in Georgia, met with Bryce Perry-Wright, met his mom. It was great to get around him. He talked about Clemson, Miami, Auburn, Georgia, Texas A&M, a couple schools he wants to take the official visits to. But I will say, when it came to Clemson, he lit up. There was a huge smile on his face. So keep an eye on the Tigers. I think they're in a really good spot heading into key official visits.
At number 31, the number 1 tight end in the class, Mark Bowman, currently uncommitted.
Yeah, Emily, and he's a reclassification. This was a kid that was in the class of 2027, a top 10 prospect, and he decides he's going to skip his senior year of high school. You saw the player comp up there, Mason Taylor, and that's because we think Mark Bowman is a new age F tight end. Now, he's been playing in a matter day offense where there's a lot of mouths to feed, so the production doesn't jump off the charts. But Mark Bowman, every time we have seen him in a best on best setting, whether that be in a camp, whether that be at a 7-on-7, he just takes over these events. He's a little lean now, but when you turn on the game tape, I love him as both a spatial blocker and an inline blocker. I think he's the total package. I think he could be a focal point of a passing attack. And again, reclassifications, we're still trying to figure that out. But this kid's already played 20 games in the esteemed Trinity League. He'll head to college likely with 30 varsity starts under his belt.
With Mark Bowman, you got USC and Oregon as the teams to beat out west. Outside of that, you got Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and Ole Miss. He's got Ole Miss coming up this weekend to take that official visit. But this one's kind of gone back and forth for me between Georgia, Texas, and USC. USC's got this resurgence, new energy, but I still strongly think he's going to end up at either Georgia or Texas. I've been kind of going back and forth. I know he had to hook him up there, but I kind of lean towards the Bulldogs right now, heading into official visit season.
At number 30, up 18 spots, we have safety Joey O'Brien. He is currently uncommitted, but before we get to the analysis, Tom talked to Joey yesterday under some false pretenses and was able to surprise him with this news. Let's take a listen.
So, Joey, I kind of lied to you a little bit. I don't really want to talk about your recruitment right now. We can dive into that at a later date. What I do want to tell you is that 24/7 Sports, led by our director of scouting, Andrew Ivins, has named you a 5-star prospect. You are going to be the number 30 overall player in the country in the 2026 class. So I got to ask, man, how does it feel?
Feels great. Feels good that all the work I've been putting in is finally paying off. And it's just a great honor because it's hard to be in that top 32 to get that 5-star, so it's a great honor to be in it.
You've definitely earned it, man. You've been exceptional every time we see you, whether it's 7-on-7 circuit, whether it's a basketball court, whether it's obviously Friday nights. But when you do pick a school, tell everybody a little bit about what they're going to get out of Joey O'Brien, both the player but also the person.
They're just going to get a nice, respectful kid who's always going to have his head down to work, and he's just always going to be looking out for his teammates and going to do whatever it takes to win.
Look, with Joey O'Brien, you got 5 teams to watch. You got Penn State, Notre Dame, Oregon, Tennessee, and Clemson. Clemson was really the school that he was dying to get that early offer from. They eventually came, but I'm still watching Penn State, Notre Dame closely. I'm not ready to give one school the edge because at one point Penn State led, then Notre Dame took over. It's kind of gone back and forth. Keep an eye on those 2 schools heading into the official visits.
With Joey O'Brien, the player, he's a two-way perimeter playmaker that's a defensive back projection, but really at the 7-on-7 circuit in high school football, absolutely takes over games as a wide receiver as well. LaSalle College prep in the Philly area just had Abdul Carter go number 3 to the New York Giants. We think Joey O'Brien is a potential first rounder as well, one of the higher floor players in the 2026 cycle. He has an elite catch radius. Anything that gets into his area, either side of the ball, he seems to have a knack for coming down with it.
The number 29 player in the 2026 class, we've got athlete Brandon Arrington, currently uncommitted.
He's number 29 in the rankings, but he's number 1 when it comes to the speed metrics. This might be the fastest player in the class, and there's a chance he could just run track professionally. Two-way playmaker, just like Joey O'Brien. Is he a wide receiver? Is he a defensive back? I like him at corner. Kind of reminds me of Darian Porter out of Iowa State, who was a day 2 selection in the most recent NFL draft. Excellent track and field profile. The game tape, you turn it on, you can see the flashes, thinks he needs to get a little more physical. But man, that size speed combo, really rare. He broke a record at the Arcadia Invitational in the 200-meter dash. The guy that previously held that was Noah Lyles. So again, I said Brandon Arrington is fast, like he is fast, 2028 Olympic Games potentially fast.
My guy Brandon Huffman over here at 24/7 Sports kills this recruitment every time. He made it clear there's A&M, USC, Oregon, Alabama, and Penn State to watch. Penn State recently made a move. They had him on campus. Again, this kid's going to take a lot of visits. But again, Texas A&M has always been the team to beat. Do not sleep on USC and Oregon. They're charging.
At number 28, edge Trenton Henderson, currently uncommitted.
Henderson has everything that you want in an edge defender: burst, bend, length, change of direction, hovering just under 6'5", 220 pounds with pretty encouraging arm measurements. Double-digit sacks as a junior, which is even more impressive when you think about the fact that he was primarily dropping into coverage as a sophomore. One of the few prospects in the top 32 that we haven't gotten a chance to see this offseason, but he has all of the tools to develop into a premier pass rusher at the next level.
Florida State is the in-state school to keep an eye on. LSU's made a great impression. Michigan has done a great job. Auburn's another one. But for me, I think USC is the team to beat. He's got no issues leaving Florida for California. I like the Trojans as of this point to get this one done.
Coming in at number 27, cornerback Chauncey Kennon. He is currently uncommitted.
Aggressive cover corner. He's got the length, speed, physicality to shadow opponents' top offensive weapons. He's not afraid to take risks either, right? He tries to bait quarterbacks into bad decisions. He's also has a ton of success as an open field tackler. I think that's so important for the cornerback position these days, especially with these guys left out on an island. Won a district title in the 100-meter dash this spring, won a county championship in the 200-meter dash. This guy does it in all three phases of the game for Sarasota Booker. I think he is someone that has all-conference potential wherever he ends up. But that's the SEC, Big Ten, ACC, wherever Chauncey Kenyon goes, he's going to make an impact.
Chauncey's looking at a lot of schools, and he's got a lot of great opportunities. Oregon, Georgia, and LSU are doing all they can to pull him out of the Sunshine State. But in the end, I think he's going to pick one of the big three, whether that's Florida, Miami, or Florida State. It's really a toss-up at this point. I think there's some optimism from all three of those programs. So this one's going to play out after some visits, but keep an eye on the big three in state.
At number 26 on our list of 5 stars for the class of 2026, safety Jireh Edwards, currently uncommitted.
Verified 6'2.5", 210 pounds with an 80-inch wingspan, 10 plus in the broad, 36 in the vert at last year's St. Francis Academy Pro Day. This is a versatile defensive back that could not line up in the nickel, over the top, or in the box. Advanced instincts and will jump in front of routes and will make some show-stopping plays in the process. He'll turn 19 years old in late September, which does make him one of the older prospects inside the top 247, but the tape and the testing data make Edwards one of the safer players in this cycle.
I think Maryland had the early edge, the early buzz, but I don't really believe he's strongly considering them at this point. The two I'm really keeping a close eye on are Auburn and Oregon. I think they've done the best job since day one of recruiting him, making him priority. They do a great job when it comes to NIL, and I think they are connecting with him on a great level. I think the Tigers and Ducks are in a great spot right now.
At number 25, the number 1 athlete in the class, Jermaine Bishop. He is currently uncommitted.
I love this kid, Jermaine Bishop. He could go down as the Houston Metro's all-time leading receiver. Does it on both sides of the ball. Some schools like him as a defensive back. Some schools like him as a wide receiver. I think he's the top slot here in the 2026 cycle. Yeah, he's on the smaller side, but you just saw it. He makes plays. He will hurdle defenders. What I also like about Jermaine Bishop and his game, he'll take a jet sweep and he knows he's going to get crunched, but he's still going to fight for 10 yards. Elite ball skills, right? Everyone is looking for the next Travis Hunter that can do it on both sides of the ball. It might legitimately be Jermaine Bishop. This is a kid that caught passes from DJ Lagway 2 years ago, and he has kept Willis High School in Texas on the map.
Texas A&M, Houston, and Oklahoma. Those are the 4 schools I'm keeping a close eye on for potentially the next Travis Hunter. I think Texas A&M and Texas are doing a great job, but Houston always has that strong connection with him, potentially pairing with 5-star quarterback Keisean Henderson. They're close. Don't sleep on the Cougars. They got a real shot here.
At number 24, our first quarterback on this 5-star list, we've got Dia Bell. He is committed to Texas.
The son of NBA vet Raja Bell, D is verified close to 6'3", 210 pounds, and is a touch passer that's an above the average athlete with a smooth, repeatable stroke and has a great feel for the position. I felt like he took the next step, reading the full field as a junior, and displayed plenty moments where he would create off script and improvise when the pocket breaks down. Recovered from a lower body injury at the tail end of his junior season and ended up putting together an excellent showing at the Elite 11 Austin Regional, where he stamped his invitation for the Elite 11 finals.
I think you got to keep an eye on a couple schools here, but there's really not a lot of drama. Diabell wants to be at Texas. He wants to be a Longhorn, and honestly, Texas would love to have him. Ohio State's going to keep trying. LSU's going to try, but it's going to take a lot to pull him from the Longhorns.
At number 23, up 39 spots in the rankings, edge Tristan Givens. He is currently uncommitted.
Ivins, Givens. This guy, I think, is a freak. Linear pass rusher with some of the most explosive takeoffs we have seen in this class. He actually began his prep career as a wide receiver. Halfway through the sophomore season, they start giving him a look on the edge, and now he's got 30 sacks in roughly 24 games. Kind of lacks some polish right now, but I think the most encouraging thing with Tristan Givens is the fact that he can go from speed to power with such ease. He's also got these track and field jumping metrics. I say it all the time with the pass rushers. You want to see that. I think this guy has a monster ceiling. Reminds me of James Pierce we just saw go in the first round.
There are 4 schools to watch here. You got USC, Florida State, Tennessee, and Texas A&M. The Volunteers were doing a great job. They still are. They were the team to beat at one point, but I believe the Aggies are surging in this recruitment, and I like them to get this one done. Again, no decision date is completely set. That will come sooner rather than later. He's going to take some trips, but I like Mike Elko and the staff in College Station to land him.
At 22, interior offensive lineman Iammanuel Iheanacho, currently uncommitted.
With Iammanuel Iheanacho, originally we had him listed as a tackle. After seeing him at the Under Armour All-America game, we think that interior might be the way to go, and that's why you see the Mekhi Becton comp, somebody who moved from tackle to interior offensive line and had a ton of success. Iheanacho is a physical run game presence who shows promising hand placement, consistency, and lower body drive when he's engaged. Although there are sometimes he'll get a little bit rigid with his movement patterns, but the traits and power really overwhelm. And this is somebody that could get early snaps in a power spread scheme.
According to national analyst Brian Doan, Iheanacho has a commitment date set for early August. There are 4 schools to watch. You got Oregon, LSU, Penn State, and Auburn. I think right now the Ducks are far and away the team to beat, but Iheanacho admits that official visits could play a factor in his final decision and surely will. But I think Dan Lanning and his staff have done a great job. They are the team to beat right now.
Coming in at number 21, wide receiver Calvin Russell, currently uncommitted.
Potential wide receiver 1. He's verified at 6'5", and he's got above the rim athleticism, which makes him a very dangerous target, not only in the red zone, but also in the deeper parts of the field. This is a kid that had to play some quarterback out of necessity early on in his high school career there at Miami Northwestern. Teddy Bridgewater, the NFL passer, he comes in and takes over as a coach, and then this past season for the Bulls, which won a 3A championship in Florida, Calvin Russell turned into a must-look target. They lined him up in the slot. They got him involved. You know, he's a lanky strider, but he's got some unexpected suddenness for a guy with his length, right? And he, to me, is someone that can be a game breaker at some point down the line. The interesting twist in his recruitment is it sounds like he also wants to play basketball. Dusty May in Michigan just offered an opportunity to play for the Wolverines on the hardwood. So certainly a unique story with Calvin Russell.
Ivins nailed it. Keep an eye on Michigan. I think they're doing a great job, especially the fact they're recruiting him to play basketball and football. But I can't stop shaking the fact that there is a big heavy hitter in this one, and that's Syracuse. I know most people are watching Miami, Florida, and Florida State, and rightfully so. They are firmly in there, and they could absolutely keep him in state. But there's just something about that recruiting process when it comes to Syracuse and how well they're doing on that front. Keep an eye on the Orange.
All right, let's take a quick breather and recap the players 32 to 21 here. We introduced you to the top tight end in the class, the number one athlete. Only one committed prospect, though, in this group. So plenty of top talent still available for your school. And because we're on YouTube, we got no commercials, so we're going to keep it rolling right into the number 20 prospect in the 2026 class, linebacker Tyler Atkinson. He is currently uncommitted.
Emily, Tyler Atkinson is just a tackling machine. He has the IQ and instincts to make plays all over the field. We kind of view him as this new age hit and run second level defender that can play all three downs with his skill set. I mean, he will absolutely decleat you on first and second down, but if you give him an opportunity, he can blitz from depth or straight up rush off the edge to provide some versatility on third down. He doesn't blow you away with the frame or the athletic tools, but this is just one of the best pure football players in the 2026 cycle.
Lots to like about Tyler Atkinson, and he can take his talent anywhere he wants across the country. But the ones I'm keeping an eye on closely are Georgia, Ohio State, Auburn, USC. I know you see a long list there, but I think these are the ones starting to separate themselves. The two I'm watching closest, Georgia and Ohio State. James Laurinaitis in Columbus has done a great job with the Buckeyes, and the entire Bulldog staff have made him a priority. I think those will be the final two come decision day whenever that time comes.
At number 19, our biggest riser into five-star status, up 51 spots, offensive tackle Gabriel Osenda. He is committed to Tennessee.
The kids call him Big Squish, and the nickname fits. 6'8", 330 pounds. This is a guy that went from a 3-star projection to a 5-star in a little under 6 months. We loved him at the Navy All-American Bowl. He was a late addition. He's a kid that's originally from Canada. We had no idea how he would look. He ended up starting the game at that left tackle spot. Tons of field demeanor. I think he is tailor-made for a zone attack with his initial slide quickness and his physicality. Yeah, he's not the most natural knee bender, but when he locks out and engages, he can extend that arc. You saw Arante Irisay, the player comp up there. I think it fits to a T. Irisay got the job done at Minnesota, went in the second round of the NFL draft. We'll see what happens with Gabe Osenda, a.k.a. Big Squish, but we love this kid.
Very little drama around this recruitment right now. He did make it clear, though, that while he's completely locked in with the Tennessee Volunteers, Georgia is lurking. And I'm not going to lie, the fact that they missed on Jackson Cantwell yesterday to Miami might just take their efforts up a notch. So keep an eye on the Bulldogs. But again, it's going to take a lot to flip him from Tennessee.
At number 18, we've got safety Jett Washington. Fantastic name, currently uncommitted.
With Jett Washington, the thing most people know is that this is the nephew of Kobe Bryant, right? But extremely skilled on the basketball court as well, just led Bishop Gorman to a state title. But on the football field, he is an absolute menace along the back end. He covers with range. He can pick off passes with ease, but he will also fill the alley and absolutely tattoo folks. He's a potential defensive chess piece that can be positioned over the top, in the box, or in the slot. And even though he spent most of his year working from a single high look in a two high safety setup, he's more of a backstop than a volume tackler. We love Jett Washington. We think that he is one of the more intriguing defensive pieces in this 26 class.
Hudson called him intriguing. I think his recruitment is pretty intriguing at this point. I think there's a long way to go, and I think he's got a lot of visits to take, and I think he's taking a slower approach to his process, which I kind of appreciate. But USC, Oregon, Alabama, and Miami, the ones I'm watching closely. There's always something about the Ducks where I feel like he's kind of been gravitating towards that program. But out of state, keep a close eye on the Crimson Tide. They're doing a great job of recruiting defensive backs very well and taking that talent to the next level, and it's been appealing to Jett Washington.
Coming in at number 17, the number one running back in the class, Savion Hiter, currently uncommitted.
Yeah, Emily, he might finish as our highest ranked running back in like 5 years. We love this kid. Potential every down workhorse, speed, power, balance, vision. It's all there with Savion Hiter. He will patiently wait for a lane, but when he hits the hole, I mean, he hits it at full speed. He's got the agility, thrashes his way through tacklers, average over 10.8 yards per carry as an 11th grader. I think what also stands out about Savion Hiter is the 3-down capability. He's not afraid to chip those large defensive ends and help his quarterback out. And he's also really effective on wheel routes. So he can find his way into the end zone. This is a name to know. Nick Singleton has been mentioned as a comp. Omarion Hampton, Cooper Patagna throughout, Adrian Peterson. This dude is a playmaker, and he's going to make an impact wherever he ends up.
Georgia and Tennessee, they are doing a very good job with Hiter, but the two I'm watching closely happen to be rivals. We are talking about Michigan and Ohio State. I think those are the big players in this process. If you talk to people inside both those buildings, there's optimism. They think they can get that one done. So we'll see how it plays out. And this kid's going to command top dollar when it comes to NIL. We'll see who decides to pony up, but he's got great relationships when it comes to Michigan and Ohio State.
The number 16 player in the 2026 class, offensive lineman Darius Gray. He is currently uncommitted.
Another Virginia native as a 5-star. Darius Gray showed up at the Navy All-American Bowl, and we liked him. We were a little bit curious to see how he would stack up against the seniors that are also blue chip talent, and he more than delivered. I mean, he is an athletic bully at the point of attack that can trap and pull with ease. Verified at 6'3", 287 pounds, but has long measurements, 35+ inch arms, nearly a 7-foot wingspan. And it felt like nearly every Power 4 coach in the country went out to see him this offseason playing basketball. Way better than you'd think down low working in the post.
Darius Gray is one of the most impressive kids to get around. We saw it in San Antonio at the Navy All-American Bowl. Just a phenomenal kid, and obviously an elite talent on the football field. You see the long list of top schools there, but the ones I'm keeping the closest eye on are Georgia, LSU, Clemson, USC, and Michigan. Not in that order. There is plenty of buzz around the Tigers right now. Darius made it very clear he does not have a leader, and he wants to visit a bunch of schools before he makes a final decision, but that will come this summer. Big-time talent set to come off the board in a couple months.
At number 15, friend of the show, edge Rodney Dunham. He is committed to Notre Dame.
Long been one of my favorite pass rushers in this 2026 cycle. Kind of a tricky evaluation now after he gets injured in the final game of his junior season. Kind of a nasty knee injury, cheap shot. Don't like to see that. But man, box checker, right? Multi-sport athlete. He's long, he's fast. His workout from 2 years ago, one of the best we've seen for this position group on the Under Armour Next Camp circuit. I think he can fit into an odd. I think he can fit into an even front. Going to need to keep some physical maturation, but he can bake into a pest up front for a college football playoff contender. 36 pressures, 12 sacks, and 21 career varsity outings so far for Rodney Dunham.
You see it on the screen. You saw it on 24/7 Sports. He is locked in with Notre Dame. Not much is going to be able to pull him away. I tried to pry it at him. Who's number 2? Who's still pushing for you? He made it very clear his process is over. He has shut it down. He's cut off all communication. Again, I tried to pry it out of him. It looks like he's completely locked in with the Irish and Marcus Freeman.
I appreciate the effort, Tom. At number 14, the number 1 corner in the class, Jorden Edmonds. He is committed to Alabama.
Jorden Edmonds aced key live exposures at both the Navy All-American Bowl and the Under Armour Atlanta camp, where he won Alpha Dog honors from myself. He's a prototypical modern corner, verified 6'2.5", with really good two-way snaps, NFL bloodlines, and impressive basketball multi-sport. He's smooth and fluid in his back pedal and plays with keen eyes. Edmonds has the frame to absolutely dominate opponents at the line of scrimmage. As a senior, we'd like to see the ball production go up a little bit, but when you really dig into the tape, he is constantly making plays at the catch point.
I love that, Hudson. Alpha Dog honors from myself. Committed to Alabama. Georgia's still working, but I think it's all about watch what you say, not what you do. And he's very active about recruiting for the Crimson Tide. I feel like he's completely locked in with Alabama. It's going to take a lot to pull him away from Tuscaloosa. He's very, very excited about his future.
The number 13 player in the country, we've got quarterback Ryder Lyons. He is currently uncommitted.
Energetic signal caller with a true gunslinger mentality. He embraces chaos. Under 6'3", but he's got ready to play mass, thick through the core. He's gone 24-4 as the starter at Folsom High School over the past 2 seasons, and he's led multiple game-winning drives in the postseason. He has delivered in key moments. I think there are some times when Ryder Lyons can get caught up trying to do a little bit too much. He is going to take a mission trip before he starts college, but he's got the tools to provide some fireworks on Saturdays and then potentially Sundays.
Ryder Lyons got some Johnny Manziel in him, especially as you get to know him, and then you also watch him on the football field. So where's he going to land? I'm watching 3 schools. I think Oregon, BYU, and USC. So I know USC's got a quarterback committed. BYU does as well. But, like Ivins mentioned, he's going to take his mission trip. He'll return in the 2027 class. I think Ole Miss and Ohio State are 2 others badly trying to get in this one. But I really do believe, and I know Brandon Huffman was all over this from day one, keep an eye on the BYU Cougars. They are going to spend top dollar on the NL front. And I think that Lions is going to command a lot. I think BYU could actually get this one done.
At number 12, the top safety in the class, Bralan Womack. He is currently uncommitted.
He's the complete package on the back end. 15 interceptions throughout his sophomore and junior campaigns and nearly averaged 30 yards per catch, leading Hartsfield Academy to their 2nd straight MAIS 6A state title. He was the Mississippi Gatorade Player of the Year, showed up with huge expectations at the Navy All-American Bowl, and delivered every single day in practice. This is somebody who you can trust on the back end to match up in isolation, to fit the alley, make tackles for loss, or to just be a trusted backstop in a zone defense. I think Bralan Womack, most people will see the Caleb Downs comp and raise their eyebrows, but he has the resume and the tape to back it up.
4 schools to watch for Bralan Womack. You got Ohio State, Auburn, Florida, and Texas A&M. He will commit right here on the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel on August 22nd. I'm going to make my way down to Mississippi for that. Hudson brought it up. Caleb Downs, there's a lot of connections there. I like Ohio State to get this one done as it stands now. His favorite player is Caleb Downs. He models his game after him. I could see him following him into Columbus.
At number 11, wide receiver Cederian Morgan. He is currently uncommitted.
He has long been a darling for the 24/7 Sports scouting department. People think we don't know what we're doing. We ranked this kid really high up the board when he had just 4 scholarship offers. Now everyone in the country wants Cederian Morgan. He is quickly making a case that he might be number 1 on my annual freaks list. We think he's right around 215, 220 pounds. Well, he went 6'8" in the high jump. He went 21.75 in the 200-meter dash. He's a double machine on the hardwood. And oh, by the way, 1,100 receiving yards this past season, 14 touchdown catches. He is a mismatch in the slot. I think he could be a high volume target wherever he ends up. And he's going to give defensive coordinators headaches.
His commitment date is set. He's going to announce his decision on July 2nd, ideally here on the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, all in play. My 24/7 Sports crystal ball that may have been put in a year or so ago is on the Crimson Tide. I have not heard any reason to change that. I like them to get that one done. I see him playing his college ball in Tuscaloosa.
All right, let's give you a quick recap of players 20 to 11, potentially the number 1 player on Andrew Ivins' Freaks list, as he just said, in Cederian Morgan. Stay tuned for that list coming out this summer. We start to see a few of these guys come off the board, but still a lot of uncommitted prospects in this group. We have our biggest riser, Gabe Osenda, also the top running back, Savion Hiter, and the top corner in Jorden Edmonds. Let's release our top 10, shall we? At number 10, offensive tackle Jackson Cantwell, just yesterday committing to Miami.
Yeah, Emily, been in the headlines with yesterday's commitment to Miami, but if you're unfamiliar with Jackson Cantwell, I think the headliner is that he's the son of 2 U.S. Olympic throws athletes who currently is in pursuit of Michael Carter's national record of 81.3 in the shot put, Jackson close to 75 in the shot put. I think he's one of the higher floor prospects in the 26 cycle. His size, 6'7" plus, and power are obvious, but he will wall off run lanes with his wide base and impressive leg drive. Under Armour All-America game practices showed a player still learning as a pass protector and was a little bit more uncomfortable working from the inside. But make no mistake, Cantwell has a monster ceiling with his size and explosiveness.
Just committed to Miami on Tuesday. I'm not sure if this is the point where I need to announce that his recruitment is over and he's shut it down. But it's very clear he's happily committed to the Hurricanes. Of course, Georgia's not going to give up. Of course, Oregon's not going to get up. But I believe when it comes to relationships, when it comes to NIL, the entire package, it's going to keep him committed to Miami. Unless something changes or people go back on their word, I think he's going to play for Mario Cristobal, Alex Mirabal in Coral Gables.
At number 9, up 4 spots into the top 10, quarterback Jared Curtis. He is committed to Georgia.
Meshes a higher floor with a higher ceiling, smooth mechanics. He can make all the throws, prototypical build, and he's got slick pressure evading athleticism. He lit up a lower level of competition as a junior there in Nashville, 40 touchdowns to go against just 3 interceptions, ran for 18 scores. Type of quarterback that can thrive in a timing-based system, Jared Curtis is. Now, he's dealt with some injuries in the offseason, so we haven't seen him throw alongside some of these other blue chip signal callers, but he's got what it takes to, fuel playmakers on Saturdays and then potentially as a pro.
Jared Curtis is a pretty incredible talent, and it makes sense that he had every offer in the country. But in the end, it came down to Georgia and Oregon. Those were the final two. There were some heavy hitters kind of pushing behind the scenes or at least reaching out. I know Alabama touched base and Ohio State touched base, but in the end, committed to Georgia. Oregon's not going to give up, but I really don't believe he's got any reason to back off his pledge to the Bulldogs. I expect him to suit up for Kirby Smart and enroll in December.
The number 8 prospect in the 2026 class, also the number 1 linebacker in the group. We've got Xavier Griffin. He is committed to USC.
Xavier Griffin is a multifaceted front 7 defender that will offer legitimate on-ball and off-ball versatility. He'll rush out of a 2 or a 3-point stance, but also has unlimited range at the second level, which he put on display at the Navy All-American Bowl. This is somebody that can really give you any look that you want on the outside in a front 7, or can at times work as a Mike backer and drop into coverage with success. He might lack some mass at this stage, but his active hands and favorable reach allow him to shed blocks and be a constant disruptor for offenses playing against him in Georgia's highest level of classification.
Griffin's committed to USC, but I will say this. The people at USC have that no-visit rule where they don't really want guys committed that are talking to other schools and things of that nature. So it's something to monitor, no question about it. Alabama, that's where he's originally from. The Crimson Tide are doing a great job pushing for him. They're a regular in his process. Georgia's another. Obviously, that's where he's at right now. He's in the Peach State. The Bulldogs are doing a great job. They're going to be tough to beat as they continue to push for him. A couple others you got to watch are Miami, Tennessee, Florida. This one is not the slam dunk that we initially thought when he announced his commitment to USC. We thought he was going to be a little different. This one's definitely one to monitor.
Up 24 spots to number 7, earning that 5th star, the number 1 defensive lineman in the class, Lamar Brown. He is currently uncommitted.
He has been a tricky evaluation. We have zigged and zagged with him in the rankings. Well, the 24/7 Sports Scouting Department is now back all in on Lamar Brown. I think this guy could legitimately be a first-round offensive lineman or a first-round defensive lineman. His workout at the Under Armour camp in New Orleans was elite. It's the best we have seen this year. It might be the best we've seen in the past 3 or 4 years. Lamar Brown is that good. He's right there at Baton Rouge. You see him doing it on both sides of the ball. He's also got the throwing metrics, kind of everything you want. Rare big man movement skills. He holds a defensive positional tag for now, but you saw the player comp up there. Mike Pouncey, former NFL guard. Well, he started 4 games on the defensive line when he was at Florida. I think Lamar Brown could legitimately play on either side of the ball in college. Schools agree with me as well.
We saw one Baton Rouge native leave in Blaine Bradford for Ohio State. Will we see another in Lamar Brown? That part I'm not too sure. I know Texas A&M and LSU are doing a really good job. This is going to be an intense battle. Florida State and Miami are surely in the picture, but I think he's going to end up being an Aggie or a Tiger when it comes down to it. Kind of leaning towards LSU right now.
At number 6, offensive tackle Keenyi Pepe. He is committed to USC.
Pepe is a traits-heavy tackle prospect that might be able to get it done on the left side moving forward on both Saturdays and Sundays. He has plus agility and adequate flexibility that accompanies his elite frame pushing 6'7" plus. one of the biggest standouts at the Under Armour All-America game and handled some of the country's premier senior pass rushers with ease, in addition to some slick work as a run blocker. I think Pepe might face some initial growing pains at the next level, but as he adjusts to the speed of the game, we think that he has rare Sunday traits and plenty of upside.
There was a lot of buzz around the Miami Hurricanes for quite some time when it came to Pepe. Could have been pretty incredible pairing him with Jackson Cantwell, but in the end, he chose USC. It's where he's from. He's from the West Coast. That's home for him. I expect the Trojans to keep him committed for the long term. His recruitment, according to him, is completely over.
Up 2 spots into the top 5. At number 5, the number 1 offensive tackle in this class, Felix Ojo. He is currently uncommitted.
I love this kid. Lean and flexible corner protector, reactionary skills. He has them, right? He can match and mirror those twitched up defensive ends that everyone's trying to roster in the SEC and the Big Ten, right? Felix Ojo, we got him at the Navy All-American Bowl. I thought out of all of the underclassmen that we have talked about, he had the most impressive week. He mixed it up in practices, right? He was a loud, vocal voice. He was the first player. It wasn't a quarterback that asked the coaching staff there in San Antonio for a playbook. I think the upside is through the roof with this kid. Now, yeah, sure, he's going to have to add some size here, but he's also one of the youngest prospects in the entire 2026 cycle. He's just now figuring it out. He's gotten much, much better with his hands. I think this guy's a dude.
Felix is taking a calculated approach. He's going to take his time. He was fresh off a visit to Colorado, and then he eliminated the Buffaloes from his process, from everything I've gathered. But the school that I've always kept a close eye on is the Texas Longhorns. I think they have long been considered the favorite to land him. I think they're going to eventually get it done, but don't rule out a few others, including Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss. But again, I like the Longhorns to keep him.
The number 4 player in the 2026 class and the number 1 wide receiver, Tristen Keys. He is committed to LSU.
During the fall, Keys moved up to our wide receiver 1, and every event that we've seen him at since, he just proves why. I mean, he's a potential game wrecker on the outside, will attack all 3 levels, and pairs elite ball skills with dynamic route running, legit athleticism, and a long levered frame. Led Hattiesburg High School to a state final as a junior, showed up at the Under Armour All-America game and the Polynesian Bowl, and was one of the best wide receivers regardless of class at both events. He has the chance for LSU to really give them that Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase caliber of wide receiver 1 on the roster.
When Keys committed to LSU, it wasn't necessarily about the landing spot that surprised some people. It was more about the timing. He did it out of nowhere. He had just told me and a lot of other people that he wanted to take official visits, and then he committed after visiting and shut it down. But immediately after that, he started taking visits over the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye on Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Auburn, Alabama, Miami, Tennessee. The Vols were considered the team to beat. He had them as his outright leader at one point. So again, this is May 14th. We have a long way to go until December. I think this got some twists and turns. Don't get too excited quite yet, Tigers fans.
Up 2 spots to number 3, quarterback Keisean Henderson. He is committed to Houston.
He's got that Davy Crockett hat, right? You see it right there on the screen. Emily, you said quarterback, right? Remember, Keisean Henderson used to be an athlete projection for us. We thought maybe wide receiver. We thought, hey, maybe, free safety for him. But go back to his junior campaign. When we got to that midway point and we saw the tape, it was like, whoa, okay, this guy is making some high-level throws. I thought he made a ton of technical strides and development as a junior, and then he parlayed that into an MVP performance at the Navy All-American Bowl. He's a top flight athlete for the position, and really what stands out, what has us feeling so good about Keisean Henderson is he just oozes with confidence. Kids want to play with this kid. You see it in the game tape. You get around him. He's a winner, and I think a lot of people understand that. Obviously, he has the speed to beat defenders to the edge, but he wants to win through the air, and he has showcased the ability to fire some absolute dimes into tight coverage windows. He's committed to Houston. The Cougars are going to have to fight to hold on to Keisean Henderson. Jordan Love is a player comp, right? Very similar at this stage. It's been awesome just to see Keisean Henderson kind of put it all together heading into his senior year.
You see all that footage there from New Orleans at Nike's Next One's camp. I'm pretty sure I saw that kid throw the ball 80 yards during that event. It was unbelievable. He does what like Joey O'Brien does in the secondary. He does what Cederian Morgan does at receiver. It's so fun to watch that kid, and he's one of my favorites this entire cycle. It's been so great to deal with. But Texas and Texas A&M are doing all they can to flip him from Houston. But this kid is all about loyalty and connections and relationships. It's going to be very, very difficult to flip him from the Cougars. He thinks he can start something special there and be incredible for that entire roster. So it's going to be fun to watch him at the next level. But again, if you're looking for a potential landing spot elsewhere, keep an eye on the Aggies. They're doing a great job behind the scenes.
At number 2, no changes here. The top edge in the class is still Zion Ely, and he is committed to Maryland.
Last cycle, Maryland got their potential QB1 in Malik Washington. If they can hold on to Zion Ely, they will get an instant spark to their pass rush. Verified close to 6'4", 220 pounds with elite length and combine testing profile that honestly could get mistaken for a field stretching X receiver. Andrew and I talk about it. His 10'5" broad jump at last year's Under Armour Baltimore camp is one of the freakiest things that we've seen from a class of 2026 prospect. He had a giant jump up in competition going from Maryland 1A program Joppatown to St. Francis Academy, which plays a national schedule. And what he did was have 10 sacks and a ton of pressures going from California to Texas, all over the country playing the best of the best. Follows that up, nearly unblockable at the Under Armour All-America game and the Polynesian Bowl. Zion Ely, a little bit narrow at this stage, but has the feel and natural instincts for the position that could have him in the same conversation as a Colin Simmons or Dylan Stewart as a freshman.
Ely remains firmly committed to Maryland, and I know he announced that he was shutting down his process, and he's done. This one is far from done. I just want to make that very clear. Auburn, Ohio State, Penn State, Texas A&M, South Carolina, they are still doing all they can to flip him. He's going to take some visits. He's going to take a calculated approach. He wants to see what kind of NIL opportunities are there. He's still developing and building relationships with a lot of people. So long way to go. Don't get too excited, Maryland fans, but I will say the one big threat, in my opinion, behind the scenes, it's the Auburn Tigers.
The number 1 player in the 2026 class, the top arm in the group, quarterback Faizon Brandon. He is committed to Tennessee.
A box checking signal caller. I think he's got the arm talent, the dual threat athleticism to light up scoreboards on Saturdays and then potentially Sundays, right? If he keeps progressing. Showed much more pocket command during his junior season, an ability to play in rhythm and get the ball out fast. You look at his resume, his statistical profile, it's best in class, right? 29-1 record. He's completed 72.5% of his passes. He's done the RPOs. He can certainly, beat defenders down the field with his acceleration and agility, but he's also extremely efficient distributing on the move. He was the highest ranked, most, biggest name to throw at the national combine since Trevor Lawrence back in 2018. We're going to get him at the Elite 11 finals. We love the football IQ on Faizon Brandon. We love the physical traits, and we love what he has put on tape as he heads into his senior year.
He's locked in with Tennessee. There's really nothing else to say about it. LSU's been trying. Alabama's still kicking the tires there. He nearly did commit to the Crimson Tide at one point, but the Vols got it done, and he's been locked in ever since. He's still recruiting the likes of Tristen Keys, 5-star receiver, and many others. So doing a great job. But I think he sees a great fit there. He's got big swish there, commanding the left or right side at the tackle spot. So a lot to like there, but this kid's loyal. I expect Faizon Brandon to put pen to paper, if they even do that anymore, with the Vols.
I don't know if we still have the fax machines either. But Faizon Brandon, the number 1 player, taking a look at players 10-1. Only 3 uncommitted prospects in the top 10. A lot of these guys locked in. 2 of them with the number 1 Trojans and Xavier Griffin and Keenyi Pepe. Also, we've got Maryland and Houston claiming top 3 players in the 2026 class. The big news, though, no change at the top. Tennessee commit quarterback Faizon Brandon remaining the number one player in 2026. We have two members of our 24/7 sports scouting team. We've got Director of Scouting Andrew Ivins and Hudson Standish and National Recruiting Analyst Tom Loy. We just went through the 32 5-stars, but Andrew, give us maybe a peek behind the curtain. What did the debate look like among the scouting team as for why to keep Faizon Brandon at 1?
Emily, I want to be honest, there really wasn't much back and forth. We love this kid. We have long loved this kid. I think what he did on the field as a junior in a really difficult classification there in North Carolina, it speaks for itself. The other thing, I'm going through the workouts from this offseason, got to what Faizon Brandon did at an Elite 11 regional, and it just hammered home everything we thought. I thought it was like a laser show. The ball jumps out of his hands. You see him there, 6'3.5", 200 pounds. He is extremely young for the grade. He is only going to get bigger. So I think it's a combination of everything that kept him at the top. Yeah, positional value matters as well. But Faizon Brandon, he continues to answer every question. I can't wait to see him at the Elite 11 finals next month out in LA.
Yeah, Hudson, that's a great look for us to kind of compare the arms in this class. So where does Faizon Brandon stack up among the other quarterbacks in this group?
Emily, I think it's really interesting. We've had 3 exposures to him this offseason, right? You had the Navy All-American Bowl Combine, lit it up. Nike next one, same deal. And then, as Andrew mentioned, his Elite 11 Atlanta workout is one of the more impressive that I've seen in my short time in the industry. And then you go back to the junior season. His last 3 games, quarterfinal, semifinal, final, are all against Max Prep's top 100 opponents. And even though the passing volume isn't the same as some of these other quarterbacks, he's extremely efficient and makes the most out of everything around him, winning a state title for his high school.
And Tom, the North Carolina product has been locked in with Tennessee since last August, but I mentioned North Carolina because since last August, Bill Belichick has stepped onto the scene, maybe causing some nerves. Still 7 months to go until National Signing Day. So what's your confidence meter that he'll stick with the Vols?
Feel great about it. I know that there's a lot of schools trying behind the scenes, but like I said, the kid is super loyal and he really sees a fit at Tennessee on and off the field. They've laid the groundwork for him, and he's gonna compete early. He's gonna play right away. He might even win the job right away. I mean, he's that special a talent, like Hudson and Ivins have said. So I feel great about it. I think he's gonna be a Vol when push comes to shove, but I have a feeling we'll get a heads up if he decides to have a change of heart.
Vols fans wishing he could come maybe just a few months earlier and play this season, but they'll have to wait for their quarterback until next season. Let's recap 1 to 10, because I want to point out the biggest riser in this top 10 is the number 1 defensive lineman in the class in Lamar Brown. I mean, he rose up 24 spots to being the number 7 player in the country. So, Andrew, why was he so worthy of that rise?
I don't think we've seen a guy like him in over 20 years. You said it, Lamar Brown's listed as a defensive lineman, but we could have listed him as an offensive lineman. He's a legit two-way big man that colleges are trying to figure out, hey, where do we use him? And I think it could be on both sides of the ball. Emily, think about it. How many schools around the country are happy with their offensive line? I think that's a very short list. How many schools around the country are happy with their defensive line? That's also a short list. So this is he's a dude, right? And we zigged and we zagged in the rankings. We were worried about how big is Lamar Brown. Well, he shows up to the Under Armour camp in New Orleans, comes in at over 6'4", 285 pounds. He goes 4.85 in the 40-yard dash. He goes 4.4 in the short shuttle. Rare movement skills at his size. He's explosive. He's physical. He can do it on both sides of the ball. He's a special player. Hard to find a player comp from him because we don't see these big boys do it on both sides of the ball.
You talk about positional changes, Hudson. Quarterback Keisean Henderson's another player for you that stands out in this group.
Yeah, not the biggest riser, goes from 5 to 3, but I think he's one to keep a close eye on long term because you can make the argument, and some on our scouting team have, that he might be the highest ceiling prospect in this 2026 cycle. It'll be very interesting to see, though, what he does as a senior because his school in the greater Houston area, Legacy School of the Sports Sciences, plays an outlaw schedule. They do not play in the playoffs, so Keisean will likely get a national schedule following an event in this postseason where he became the first ever underclassman to win MVP in one of these giant postseason all-star settings.
Yeah, when you're the number 3 player, there's not much more rising you can do. But when we look at prospects 20 to 11, offensive tackle Gabe Osenda jumping 51 spots to number 19. Hudson, what have you seen from him lately to justify that jump?
Just the surprise that we had when we saw him at the Navy All-American Bowl. I mean, he really blew us away. Verified at 6'8", 346 pounds, but he wears it extremely well. I mean, he has the frame to contribute earlier than you'd expect for the Tennessee Volunteers. He's someone that we really loved, extremely athletic. I think he has the tools to potentially be a left tackle long-term.
Speaking of big guys on the front line, Darius Gray is somebody you wanted to mention. Andrew, what stands out about him?
Yeah, I think he's got 5-position flexibility, right? Do you want Darius Gray to be your left tackle? No, but he can play center. He can play both guard spots, and I think he can be a right tackle in a pinch. I think he is one of the cleanest players in the class of 2026. He checks off box after box after box, double machine on the hard way, full-time two-way snaps. He's an energizer bunny as an offensive lineman. He gets better as games progress. I don't think he's being talked about enough when it comes to, hey, these schools that are involved in his recruitment. I think he's a multi-year starter, and I think he's a future first rounder.
Looking at players 32 to 21, the biggest riser in this group is defensive lineman Bryce Perry-Wright, who moved up 45 spots into 5-star status. Hudson, what warranted that big rise for him?
A little bit of an outlier to what we normally covet at the defensive line position, shade under 6'2", but his performance at the Navy All-American Bowl, the Under Armour Atlanta camp, and then playing the best of the best in the state of Georgia, you just don't find many football players better than this, and we think that his schematic flexibility is up there with any front 7 defender you'll find in the 26 cycle.
Andrew, how about Jermaine Bishop? What stands out about his play?
Everyone's looking for that next Travis Hunter guy that can go both ways and be a skilled playmaker. We think it could be Jermaine Bishop. Some schools like him on defense. I normally like these guys in the secondary, but I love Jermaine Bishop on offense. I think he's an electric slot receiver, elite ball skills, catch and run. He's physical. He's tough. Every time we have seen him, he has exceeded expectations. He could go down as the Houston Metro's all-time leading receiver. He's lightning in a bottle. Get familiar with Jermaine Bishop.
Taking a look at the strongest position groups, we've got 5 quarterbacks. A lot of that has to do with positional value. 4 offensive tackles, 4 edge prospects, 4 safeties. Just a lot of talent here in this 5-star group. Andrew, what's the strongest position group among these 5 stars?
Well, I think the biggest debate is the offensive tackles, right? How do you stack and you rack these guys? I think if you take those 4 names, you gave them to, 4 NFL scouts, 4 NFL GMs, 4 college football head coaches, everyone's going to rank them in a different order, right? You got Keenyi Pepe, Felix Ojo, Jackson Cantwell, Gabe Osenda. The one thing that stands out, is they're all over 6'6". They're all tipping the scales at close to 300 pounds. Some of them even heavier. So, how do you position these? And I think it really comes down to your flavor. We got all of them in the All-Star game. To me, Felix Ojo, he has the highest ceiling of the bunch, and that's because I think he can be a left tackle. Gabe Osenda, maybe more on the right side. Jackson Cantwell, maybe more on the right side. Keenyi Pepe, I think he could do it on the left side as well. So this offensive line, this offensive tackle group, it's special. Again, opinions are going to vary, but the bottom line, just like we've seen from some of these other guys in recent years, go back to the 2023 cycle when you have Francis Mauigoa, Caden Proctor, Jordan Seaton in the 2024 cycle. These guys are going to play early, right? They are ready to go based on everything we have seen to date.
Hudson, what's your take on this tackle group?
I think with the tackles, it's exactly what Andrew said. These 4 guys all have a chance to contribute early. I think specifically with Ojo, Pepe, and Cantwell, not only do they have the physical skill set and the technical ability to contribute early, but also when you talk about roster construction, all 3 of those guys, deservingly so, probably going to get paid to where they need to contribute right away, or at the very least be a swing tackle. Very excited to see them all as seniors, and this is going to be a continuous debate throughout the rest of the cycle with this offensive tackle group, because all 4, just like last year's group of special tackles, really high floor, but also have the ceilings that you covet.
Love talking about offensive tackles, but Tom, we are always keeping an eye on the quarterback dominoes. There's only one uncommitted 5-star quarterback in Ryder Lyons, but still plenty of uncommitted passers outside of this 5-star status. So what's next for the quarterbacks? What do we need to keep an eye on?
Obviously, we talked about Ryder Lyons already. I think you're watching BYU, USC, and Oregon, but I want people to understand, like, there are some incredible arms and talents still on the board. So anybody freaking out because we didn't land Faizon Brandon or Ryder Lyons or Jared Curtis, like, there's guys that are absolutely NFL type of talents, guys that are going to have tremendous college careers. And for them, their stock is only going to rise even more with all the quarterback dominoes, and their price tag is only going to go up, which is beneficial to them. But there's three terrific arms still uncommitted in the top 247. You got Landon Duckworth sitting at number 50 overall. He's still looking at Ole Miss, Florida State, South Carolina, and Auburn. There's a lot of buzz around the Rebels right now, but I'm not ready to pencil that one in and say that Lane Kiffin's going to get that one done. I think he's got some strong connections with, like, Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator at Florida State, and he's got some strong ties to the Gamecocks and the Tigers as well. So another one is Bo Bentley. I know that's a Hudson Standish special there at 79. He's got LSU and Oklahoma. Those are the two to beat. Georgia was in play, but they landed Jared Curtis. But I will tell you, there is a school working hard behind the scenes, and that's Ohio State Buckeyes. I think they were a surprise omission from his final three. I think Ohio State was a little surprised. I was very surprised. I mean, I love that fit with Bo Bentley and Columbus. So keep an eye on Ohio State there. And then lastly, Oscar Rios, our guys, Brandon Huffman and Blair Angulo have been all over that one in his process. He's there at 147. Oklahoma State, Arizona, UCLA, Virginia Tech, Colorado, Utah, Kentucky. He still has a long list in that top 7, but I think he is looking first and foremost above NIL and anything else. It's all about relationships and it's all about fit. So Oscar Rios is a guy that I'm very excited to see at the Elite 11 finals. I think he's super talented. Would love to see him in person. But again, 3 freaky, super talented arms still available. Fans can get excited about.
We're getting excited about the Elite 11 finals coming up next month, where we're going to see these arms. A lot of uncommitted 5 stars. Again, 20 are unspoken for. Still plenty of time left in this cycle. Andrew, who's somebody maybe outside the top 32 now, but could push for 5-star status? Because as we know, they still have to play their senior years.
How about Ohio State wide receiver commit Chris Henry Jr.? This is a kid, when we initially dug into this cycle, we loved what he put on tape as a sophomore. He then relocates to California. He's at Mater Dei. Only played roughly about 40 snaps this past season before going down with a knee injury that ended the season. I still liked what I saw. Him as a blocker. Again, I said it in the past, hey, that Mater Dei offense, a lot of mouths to feed. But Chris Henry, I mean, he is a physical specimen, 6'5", 205 pounds. I think if he can rebound here, we haven't seen him this offseason, and put together a very productive senior season, he's absolutely going to be in the conversation for a 5th star because he's got an extremely high floor with his catch radius, his route running, and what he's able to do down in the red zone.
All right, got a nice pick on offense. Hudson, you've got your eye someone on the defensive side of the ball.
Tom mentioned Landon Duckworth. I was tempted to go with him, but I think Carter Meadows out of Gonzaga Prep in the greater Washington, D.C. area is one of the more interesting guys to keep a track on for the senior seasons. Also with Meadows, a little bit as a disadvantage, he could show up at Under Armour Baltimore, late stop on the camp circuit, absolutely tear it up. We just need to see him in person because it's 6'6", 210 pounds. He has rare length, but also redirection ability for the position. This is somebody that Andrew Ivins was very early to stamp, loved him as well. He has a massive wingspan, also 35-inch arms, and showed up in Florida at a basketball tournament and was playing defense on the Boozer twins. He can also get it done on the hardwood.
All right, that's the scout. How about the scoop? Tom, any intel on the number 1 player from D.C.?
Yeah, I think there's 4 players to watch. You got Ohio State, South Carolina, Michigan, and Penn State. I think that there's smart money right now. I'd probably put it on the Wolverines. I think behind the scenes, they're doing a great job. They got some strong connections there. So keep an eye on them. But again, official visits still to play out. He wants to take his time and then make a decision this summer. But very, very good prospect.
Thank you to the 3 of you for breaking down our 5 stars for the 2026 class. We will be doing this again. Things will change. So we appreciate all the effort that you put into this, and really to our entire scouting team, Andrew, Hudson, Cooper, Gabe, and Greg. As a reminder to you watching, we are on the road to 1 billion views. I believe we're about 10 million shy of that goal, which, trust me, means we are very, very close. So just go tell your friends and come hang out with us here on the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. Later this afternoon at 4:30, we were going to bring you a live commitment. Gavin Mueller, 3-star tight end, is set to make his decision. It'll come down to Notre Dame, LSU, Wisconsin, and Colorado. You can watch his choice live at 4:30 Eastern right here on the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel.